I cannot believe I'm saying this, but after almost 1 year of living in Israel, I am going back to the United States of America, the place where I was born and raised. And given the entire world situation right now, I don't know how to feel. I can't believe it's December and I came here all the way back in January. I'm sure a lot of us feel like this right now, like,
what happened this year?
Personally, for me, a lot. Right now, I am packing my bag. My flight from Israel to the US leaves in 2 days. So there's a lot I gotta do. In fact, besides packing my bags today, I have to go get a corona test. Because in order to leave Israel, I have to take a corona test at least 72 hours before I take my flight to the US. Otherwise, they will not let me fly. So I'm going to the airport to take the corona test tonight, and I'm bringing you with me.
I actually found out that I didn't have to do this to travel to the US, but it was good assurance anyways.
But for now, I gotta pack my bags, and I'm just gonna kind of share with you what life has been like in Israel for the past year. Let me show you my 2020 highlight reel. And let me remind you, these are my highlights. I definitely had many lows. So here we go.
I moved to Israel in January of 2020. I started my internship at I-24 News in February, but then came COVID, and I temporarily lost my internship. In March and April, I was stuck in quarantine, so I ended up spending my time making YouTube videos. In May, I got my internship back, and in June, my YouTube channel was featured in Israel's biggest news site. Because of this, in July, I ended up getting a job at I-24 News as a vlogger. In August, I put out one of my most successful videos yet, and in September, I got to do a collaboration with the Embassy of India and meet the Indian ambassador. Finally, in November, I got my official Israeli press pass. Well, that's just a little bit of what I experienced this past year.
I wanted to show that reel to you just so you would have an idea of what I went through this year. What you saw were all the happy moments, but in between all of that was a lot of tears, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, loneliness, confusion, you name it, I felt it. This year was extremely challenging. Moving to a new country, trying to learn a new language, getting a new job. But now that things are wrapping up for the year, it has me in this pensive mood. And December is always like this for me. My empty bag. As many blessings that I received this year, there are still some things I feel disappointed about. First of all, I didn't learn as much Hebrew as I would have liked to. I definitely improved, but I am comparing my experience here in Israel with my experience in Brazil. I also lived in Brazil for about a year, and by the end of that year, I was speaking advanced Portuguese, but after being in Israel for almost a year, I'm like a low intermediate. Given when I was in Brazil, I was taking Portuguese classes all year long. And in Israel, I think I took like 4 weeks of Hebrew classes, so it makes a difference. Anyways, right now I'm packing my clothes, but these are not clothes I'm probably going to wear in the States. They're clothes I've just had all year long. One thing I want to point out, I did not know I was going to be in Israel for a year. I thought I was coming on a 5-month program to do an internship, but as you see, I got a job and I stayed with the same 15 outfits. When I go home, I'm just going to leave these clothes here and trade them for a fresh set. So you are all about to see a whole new wardrobe change. I also love to use travel cubes because I can do so much more with the space I have. And I'm also still mentally preparing myself for the corona test I'm gonna take tonight. Like, I know it's a 2020 rite of passage, but I heard from all my friends who have taken it that it's super uncomfortable. But when you haven't been home in a year, it's worth it. It's only going to be a 10-day trip, but after not seeing my family for almost a year, I decided that there's no question about it. I have to go. I'm gonna go on this trip to the US, to my home state in Georgia, and then I'm going to come back. But here's the catch. I have to quarantine all by myself in this room for 14 whole days. Lots of people are saying, India, it's not worth it. Why would you go home? Can't you just wait? But my answer to them is, I've been waiting so long already. 6 months ago, I was thinking that by now, in December, that this corona thing would be much more calm. That travel would be back to normal-ish, but no. And I thought to myself, look, if I decide to wait for this coronavirus pandemic to end, I could be waiting for another year. So I feel like it's worth it. And who knows, maybe the 14 days in my room in solitude will teach me a thing or two. I'll get to read lots of books, relax, work from home, make videos for you, maybe go crazy a little bit. And that's why I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I'm super excited to go home and reunite with my family and friends. But on the other hand, I'm already thinking about all the days I'm going to have to spend in my room.
Well, this wraps up my packing. Yes, there's a whole lot of empty space, but I have a plan.
I'm gonna go to the States with an empty suitcase and come back with the full one. Really, I try to be able to fit my entire life in one big suitcase. I try. And I do that because my life is super mobile. In fact, in March, I have to leave this room and find another place. This housing arrangement is just temporary because it's an Airbnb. For the moment, because of the pandemic, they're renting it out long term, but in March, they hope to reopen to tourists. At least local tourists, that is. That means India has to find a new house. So if you know anybody in Tel Aviv that's looking for a roommate, me, we can make YouTube videos together. All right, so my coronavirus test is at 9 p.m. at the airport tonight. I know, it's super late. But that gives me time to do some shopping because I have to bring some gifts back for family and friends. And you are going to join me. Yalla, yalla, let's go.
In Israel, it rains a lot during the winter. So that's why I took the bus to the market. Here, you can buy pretty much anything, from clothes to food. A lot of stores went out of business since COVID. This store here actually used to be a souvenir shop, but because there are no tourists here to buy them, it looks like they're only selling clothes and jewelry now.
Shuk HaKalma, which used to be a huge tourist destination, has now just become a place for the locals. It's unfortunate because I came here to look for gifts for family and friends, but it looks like I'll have to look somewhere else. Anyways, I'm going to have to get headed home because I have my corona test in just a few hours and I do not want to be late for it.
I'm about to head to the airport to get this corona test done with, and before I go, I'm just going over a few things, make sure I don't forget my passport, which I have in a nice little passport wallet to keep it nice and pretty.
So the bus ride is going to be about 40 minutes and the airport is about 8 miles away, in kilometers that is. The bus only comes once every hour, so if I miss this bus, my life will be over.
Yes, I did make it on the bus and safely arrived to the airport. It looks like a flight just arrived from India. But now, here comes my big test.
Oh, this is so scary!
Oh, I thought it was going to be worse. Thank you, this is Mao. He was my amazing COVID tester. Before you were a COVID tester, what were you doing?
I was a tour guide, but because of the COVID-19, all the tourism industry in Israel pretty much collapsed. So I had to find some other way to make my money.
So you don't have to be a doctor to test people for COVID?
So I have experience as a medic in the army. It was one of the requirements here.
And when will I know my results?
Get your results in 14 hours.
Toda Mao. Shukran.
Now I'm headed back to my apartment. 5 years ago, I remember arriving to Israel for the first time. I remember what it was like leaving the airport and seeing this very road, but I never imagined that Israel would become my home. It's kind of like a little did I know feeling. I wonder what other surprises life has for us.
I'm kind of feeling anxious because I just got the text message with my corona test results. I highly doubt that I'm going to test positive, but there's always that nagging thought in the back of your head, what if? So here we go. The COVID-19 swab test result of Prasad India Raja that was taken on 16/12/2020 is negative. Yay!
Today is the big day, the day that I embark on my journey to the USA.
Alright, I made it to the airport. Being here right now is surreal. I feel all alone in this empty airport. Everything is closed. It's a lot to take in.
This is the last and final call. Last and final call.
It's insane. My flight is practically empty.
We'd like to welcome everyone to New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport.
I'm just overwhelmed by finally being back. I love Israel so much, and I can't wait to go back, but I'm really happy to be home.
So I wanted to record more of me reuniting with the rest of my family, but honestly it was just too much seeing them and then trying to record it at the same time. As you can see here, I'm reuniting with Thumper, my bunny. And he's as fluffy as ever. So thank you to everyone who accompanied me on this journey. You mean so much to me and you are in my prayers and thoughts all the time. I wish you a blessed and peaceful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!